Okay, hello, I'm Elizabeth Dancy, and this is my risk mitigation plan to further the efficiency of my own cybersecurity. First, we have my qualitative risk assessment here, and I've assessed that the impact of all these vulnerabilities is high, but the ones that are most likely to be weak and affect me are my passwords, the software and services I'm running, the way I back up my data, and my Wi-Fi configurations. And of course, the risks that I will be mitigating are the passwords, the software, the data, and the Wi-Fi configurations. So these 4 vulnerabilities, I'll be preventing them, detecting them, and finding ways to remediate them. For the passwords, the likelihood of an attack happening through this is probably the highest out of all of my 4 vulnerabilities. My passwords across all platforms are very similar and repetitive. They contain personal information like my birthday, the year I was born, stuff that can be linked back to me. They're not complicated, so they're pretty weak. And if an attacker were to guess one of them, they would probably be able to guess all of them for all my accounts that I use. My strategy to mitigate this is to first improve hardening the passwords for accounts like my email, my social media accounts like Instagram, Facebook, my bank account, the accounts that have very sensitive information that somebody could use for their own personal benefit. And to improve my passwords, I will ensure that I have a different one for every service, avoid using personal information, like I said, my birthday, birth year, stuff that people can trace back to me specifically. Make sure it's at least 12 characters long, have upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters, along with implementing a password manager. And the password manager I chose to implement was Dashlane. And with Dashlane, you have every password you create and it saves it to its database. And it even has the option to autofill for when you go to sign into other services. And it also recommends stronger passwords that you can use when you're setting up these passwords. And for data backup, I've actually had issues with data loss in the past. Over the summer, I went to a music festival, lost my phone, did not get that phone back. And sadly, about, I think half of my pictures and half of my data just was not downloaded into the iCloud. So I lost lots of my data there. So I have issues with that. And so the thing that I have issues with are only some of my data being backed up fully, of course, like I said, my storage being full. And because of this, I could be a target of ransomware. Luckily, it wasn't when my phone got stolen, but since none of my files are really being secured. And to mitigate this, I'm still going to utilize cloud storage. I think that's the best way to do it, since it backs up your data as you go along. So I'm going to use storage like iCloud, OneDrive. Those are the ones I use right now. But I'm also utilizing Google Photos for that extra backup. And I'm also going to ensure that I delete unneeded data like contacts, photos, other files that I don't use to create room for stuff that I actually do use to ensure that my data is backed up properly. And like I said, I'm using Google Photos here. And Google Photos is great. I've already utilized it a little bit. And as you can tell, it has an extra 15 gigabytes of storage that you can use for your benefit, which is really nice. Really, really nice. Now, I have many unused services or software on my device. And this could be an issue if it's not up to date, as an attacker could use that vulnerability to access my device. So I definitely need to remove some of these services that I have. And to help prevent this from happening, I will utilize iObit, which is a software uninstaller that helps, of course, uninstall things en masse instead of just individually uninstalling things. And it also lays it out in a nice way so you can see everything and you're like when you installed it and if you're using it at all. And another function that I really liked was it also scans my device and finds redundant files, out-of-date software, any malicious software that I don't know about. And additionally, when you're deleting files, it will also delete any files that a software has downloaded onto my device that I won't need anymore, which is really nice. My personal Wi-Fi at home is pretty secure. I mean, we have a WPA security protocol. The default configurations on the router have been updated. The signal strength is reduced to fit the premises of our house. And remote management has also been disabled. However, we do have universal plug and play still in use. The big issue with me personally is the use of public Wi-Fi, because with that, the probability of attack would be pretty high, since I utilize public Wi-Fi almost every day, where attackers could easily access my device. And to prevent any network-based attacks, I will start with disabling UPnP, but I do live at home now, so I'll try to convince my dad to live without this luxury. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm also going to utilize a VPN, like here, ProtoVPN, when I'm on public Wi-Fi. I was actually using this today while I was working on this presentation in the coffee shop. So what have I changed or implemented to help me? First, I'm going to do stronger and more specialized passwords, and passwords that are more catered to each individual account instead of using the same one over all my accounts that I have. I'm also going to use a password manager to help manage these more complicated, more safer passwords. I'm going to utilize multiple cloud storages instead of just relying on one cloud storage to save all of my data, and also delete any unnecessary files to make room for the stuff that's actually important. Then I'm going to use iOrbit to delete any unneeded services or any services that may lead attackers to any vulnerabilities in my device. I'm going to disable UPnP on my personal network, and I'm going to use Proton VPN when I'm in public Wi-Fi. So how will this help me in the long run? Well, first, it's going to reduce the likelihood of attackers breaching into my accounts, provide backup for my data, making ransomware attacks almost obsolete, removing the possibility for outdated software to be an avenue of entry for attackers, and reduces the chances of hackers being able to access my device through public Wi-Fi or my own private network.